La canzone che ascolteremo adesso non è un canto sacro, ma il tema che tratta ci interessa e ci interroga profondamente. Lo capirete anche solo ascoltando le parole. Il canto si intitola L'appartenenza di Giorgio Gaber.
L'appartenenza non è lo sforzo di un civile stare insieme, non è il conforto di un normale voler bene. L'appartenenza è avere gli altri dentro di sé. L'appartenenza non è un insieme casuale di persone, non è il consenso a un'apparente aggregazione. L'appartenenza è avere gli altri dentro di sé. Uomini del mio passato, che avete la misura del dovere e il senso collettivo dell'amore, io non pretendo di sembrarvi amico. Mi piace immaginare la forza di un culto così antico, e questa strada non sarebbe disperata se in ogni uomo ci fosse un po' della mia vita. Ma piano piano il mio destino è andare sempre più verso me stesso e non trovare nessuno. L'appartenenza non è lo sforzo di un civile stare insieme, non è il conforto di un normale voler bene. L'appartenenza è avere gli altri dentro di sé. L'appartenenza è assai di più della salvezza personale. È la speranza di ogni uomo che sta male e non gli basta essere civile. È quel vigore che si sente se fai parte di qualcosa, che in sé travolge ogni egoismo personale con quell'aria più vitale che è davvero contagiosa. Uomini del mio presente, non mi consola l'abitudine a questa mia forzata solitudine. Io non pretendo il mondo intero, vorrei soltanto un luogo, un posto più sincero, dove magari un giorno molto presto io finalmente possa dire questo è il mio posto, dove rinasca non so come e quando il senso di uno sforzo collettivo per ritrovare il mondo. L'appartenenza non è un insieme casuale di persone, non è il consenso a un'apparente aggregazione. L'appartenenza è avere gli altri dentro di sé. L'appartenenza è un'esigenza che si avverte a poco, si fa più forte alla presenza di un nemico, di un obiettivo o di uno scopo. È quella forza che prepara il grande salto decisivo, che ferma i fiumi, sposta i monti con lo slancio di quei magici momenti in cui ti senti ancora vivo. Sarei certo di cambiare la mia vita, Se potessi cominciare a dire no.
Avrete poi modo nel prossimo numero di dialoghi di trovare una riflessione proprio sul tema dell'appartenenza e dell'origine.
You will have, in the next issue of Dialogues of Carmelites, to find a reflection on the theme of belonging and the origin of the word and all the wealth that the word brings. It's a word from which is born Christianity. Of this song we just heard, I'm interested in only 4 verses. Belonging is not a random set of people. It is not a consent to an apparent aggregation. Belonging is to have the other within himself. And with the conclusion of this song, I would certainly change my life if I could begin to say us. In this first school of Christianity of this new year, I do not want to go directly into the theme of the gift of communion that we are investigating for this year. I want to stay almost outside to put the fundamental question of what the title says. What do we want to build? What? The answer for those of us who have a habit and is easy. We want to build the Carmelite church movement. The word movement means an experience of the church in which all the gifts, all the good things, all the truth, the whole person, all friendships, all of the reality are set in motion. You will recall in Rome, the Pope, with his simple language, told us, you cannot believe by yourself. There is not the existence of Christian faith by yourself. Christian is the first name. Belonging to the church is the last name. I hope you remember these words of the Pope, and they are engraved in your soul. This belonging in the church corresponds to the fact that we do not believe in a God theory, but in a God who was made flesh, who became a man in Jesus, who came to dwell in our land. He had made history with us and arranged things in us so we could continue to make history with him. This history in time and space with him is called church. The church can also be identified, for example, in a geographical way. I live in the city of Brescia. I belong to the Church of Brescia, which has its own bishop, who's a representative of Jesus, It has its places of worship, its own community. And then in practice, I belong to the church that's situated, for example, in the district of San Antonio or elsewhere. This community is increasingly being more precise because the belonging is not something vague or theoretical. Now the church also allows that there is another form of belonging such as ours. That is not geographically built. There are people who come from many places near Sicily, Rome, Venice, Belgium. Okay, what is it that unites us? The Pope explained that there are also spiritual homelands. And these homelands are formed by example and teaching of some saints who have received special gifts. The gifts of living the faith, to understanding Jesus, to build the church, to begin works. What is Franciscan, a spiritual home? What did the Jesuits do in history? A spiritual home. And the Salesians, a spiritual home. They are homelands, spiritual gifts. We have a history that has lasted 800 years and is the spiritual home of the Carmelites. We will discuss this. However, it must be clear of what we want to build. I understand very well that one can be here for the first time and hearing mention these issues may be shocked and think that it's too difficult or too big or too complicated. We, who have been here from the onset, think it is a very simple thing. Very beautiful to live the Christian faith in a friendship of people, inside a family of families, who all live what Christians live with a particular sensitivity. John Paul II called it a spiritual affinity, a spiritual kinship, that we try to continue even more. One, for how little he knows, will have heard of Saint Teresa of Lisieux, Saint Teresa of Avila, Saint John of the Cross, and all of the wealth of the whole doctrine and all of the Carmelite holiness. We live this home. We are well. We want to expand it. We want to communicate it. We want to welcome all those who may eventually approach us for reasons of friendship, because we believe. We believe we can add richness to the heart of people. With the Carmelite Church movement, we want to go from the castle's inner heart to the exterior castle in the world. Children love fairy tales. This is our story. To go to the inner castle of heart, which means intelligence, the spirit, the depth of the human being, to the exterior castle in the world, which means penetrate where the man lives, even in the hovels of the man, even in the slums, even in places of pain. There's a problem. What do we want? Do we really want a will? Are we aware of the need to have a common will, an agreement of will? Let me give an example. This time it's called School of Christianity. This is the first time no one is claiming that a person already knows everything or is completely determined. Some of you have been doing the School of Christianity for 20 years. Here you can be a bit more demanding. According to the maturity of the people asking the question, do we really want the same things? If I say School of Christianity, that is, to learn Christianity in its various aspects, in its various doctrines, its commitment, its openness, its intelligence. If I say school, what does it mean to go to school? To listen to a lesson, to understand it, to study it, to do homework. Thinking and talking with friends. And if the task is demanding, to listen and do checks and to be happy to build something. When I say we want the School of Christianity. Tonight we begin the School of Christianity. But do we want the same things? Otherwise, what we want is not built. One can also decide to come to the School of Christianity because he likes to hear a good word, because he feels comfort in hearing a good word, because he likes to meet friends, because sometimes you have to nourish the soul. Everything can be accepted. However, it is not exactly what we're trying to do. A child may say, I'm going to school because the teacher is nice. But if he continues on this path, he will have a hard time at university. Do we want the same thing? The School of Christianity. Let me give you a harder example, more challenging. I think we've got to deal with the theme. I think we have to deal with a theme, to deal with an important issue that is radical. The Gospel says that a man found a treasure in a field and sold everything to buy the treasure. I had a little small impression that I had discovered a treasure that is something that we need to know. But I do not really know until it hurts the heart and the mind. And we call this something new beginning. Okay, if someone were to ask me now, among the most experienced, can you explain what is this new beginning? If those who are here for the first time were to say, we read in the book of the School of Christianity, and also on the page 71, that it comes to redesigning a movement that we seek a new beginning by providing a basic Christianity. What does that mean?
Allora la responsabilità che abbiamo avuto è grande, anche per gli altri.
I think it's very important.
Nuovo inizio significa questo.
There's a big responsibility, also for the others, also for those who do not know. Let's take an example.
E se si stacca la spina
If I have a good computer,
per un certo numero di mesi,
the computer works.
continua a funzionare,
But if I unplug the computer for months
la batteria comincia
or years,
a decadere.
if it's very powerful, the computer continues to run because it has the battery.
Riattaccare la spina.
But the battery begins to decay
Al posto dell'esempio tecnico.
until I realize
Vedete il nostro
that I have to plug it in again. This is the new
due
beginning.
ragazzi che si sposano,
In place of a technical
chiedono
example,
il sacramento del matrimonio.
put your relationship with Jesus.
Normalmente che cosa chiedono? Come
Two young
cosa
people who
pensano?
want to get
Pensano
married,
a questo.
who ask for the sacrament of marriage.
Siamo cristiani.
Normally, what do they ask?
Pensino bene.
What do they think? They think,
Abbiamo bisogno della grazia
we want to get married. We are Christians. We want to behave well.
dell'azione di Gesù. Abbiamo bisogno dell'impegno a scegliere
We need the grace of God. We need the protection of Jesus.
spirituale e allora facciamo.
We need spiritual strength.
Non è così. Non è così.
Okay, we will make the sacred sign of the sacrament. But this is not so. This is not so. A new beginning means that at the beginning there is Jesus,
Ragazza, io prendo te e prometto
and
di
you
amarti
rest in
tutta la
Him.
vita. E lo dici a nome di Gesù.
And when you get married in church and you say to a girl, I take you and I promise to love you and honor you for life, and you say it in the name of Jesus Christ by offering Jesus your body,
Attraverso di te.
your emotions, your blood,
Se no,
so that Jesus may love the creature in you and through you and vice versa.
funziona la batteria morale e spirituale.
Otherwise,
Mamma mi porta un
there is no
bambino a
beginning.
battezzare. Può pensare che questo bambino
It works the spiritual battery.
della protezione di Gesù
If a mother brings me a child for baptism,
ha bisogno dello Spirito
she may think
ma non è così.
that this child needs the protection of Jesus,
Porta il bambino a battezzare
needs the grace of God,
che Gesù
needs many things, but it is not so.
è fatto per me, che è destinato a me. Tu,
She
mamma,
brings
mi
me
offri
to
il
baptize the baby
mi offri il tuo
because
cuore,
she feels that
mi offri
Jesus
le tue
said,
veglie,
I
mi
love
offri
your
la
baby.
tua
It's
stanchezza,
made for me,
tuo papà mi offri il tuo lavoro.
which is meant for you. You, mother, offer me in your arms, you offer me your heart. You offer me your fatigue.
Tutta la dottrina.
This is Christianity.
Dici a Gesù, ma lui non è l'inizio.
We can do all Christian
Non è
morals,
l'inizio da cui parte la
the whole
la
doctrine,
corrente che mi fa vivere.
and refer to Jesus, but He is not at the beginning.
Che dicevamo agli esercizi,
He is the current that makes me live.
la vita di Gesù dovrebbe dire i miei anni sono i 33 anni.
Remember when I said,
E quando dicevo,
when we did the exercises,
dicono ama il prossimo tuo,
that our life is engaged in that of Jesus, to the point that we should say, my years are the 33 years of Jesus.
non ti dicono quello che ti dice Gesù.
If everyone says, love thy neighbor, but you do not do exactly what he says, Jesus,
Per amare. Santa Teresa
because Jesus does not tell you to love your neighbor.
lui che vuole amare
He says, give me your humanity for love.
l'anno scorso, ve la ricordate ancora?
Saint Teresa says, I realize that it's He who desires to love others through me.
Non esame intellettuale, esame della vita. Vi sentite il cuore lacerato?
Are you ready
per il
to look
fatto
at this,
delle centinaia di vostri
to examine your
compagni
life?
che perdono la fede?
Do you feel your heart torn
La batteria che si scarica?
of the hundreds of your fellow men who lose their faith more and more because nothing binds them, nothing of their life binds them directly to Christ. They do not feel the incarnation of Christ. These are big problems. And there are simpler ones. Let's take another example. We also talked about the fact that the church is a home and a school of communion. Correct? Communion is a link. It begins with friendship. A simple question. But do you all the times we find ourselves together, do you always greet the same people? Or are you looking for another small bond? Do you build bonds? Do you have a passion for communion? Do you have a passion for communion? I would change my life if I could begin to say us. Giving another example. Usually when I wait for everyone to arrive here, I try to meet faces that I do not know, and I say, let's begin with the first word. Who are you? What's your name? Then maybe I make myself look bad because someone says to me, we've known each other for 3 years, but this doesn't matter. I'm trying to tell you what it means, school of Christianity, where it can become all important. Let's move on to the word build. Are we really building? Please let me read a little story. It's an old story. It's during the Middle Ages, a pilgrim vowed to reach a distant sanctuary, as was customary in his time. After a few days of walking, he passed by a narrow road that climbed the side of a desolate barrow hill, burnt by the sun. The pilgrim approached the first of men he saw. And he says to this man, "What are you doing?" "Don't you see?" replied the man. "I'm killing myself with exertion." The pilgrim said nothing and went on his way. And he found another man, another stonecutter, and he said, "What are you doing?" And the man said, "Do you not see? I work from morning to night to keep my wife and my children." The pilgrim walked on. He came to another, third stonecutter. He was tired, like the others, but he was also calm. "What are you doing?" said the pilgrim. "Don't you see?" the man said, smiling proudly. "I'm building a cathedral." We are building the cathedral of the movement. Let me give you more examples. I'm talking to you, but with my mind and heart I'm thinking, that Tess is picking up what I say, and I'm happy at the thought of all the others in our communities will have the opportunity to hear the same words and to live with us. I speak to you, but I also have in mind the community of Sicily, Lebanon, America, Belgium. Thinking of all the communities, to be able to say, us. I'm sorry if not all communities use the same tools. And I'm sorry because I have in mind the cathedral. And I'm thinking of that piece of work. It's about building. I ask you, how to have the others within yourself. We are building communities that have other communities within themselves, in their own heart. We are building a movement where communities are nested into each other. I'm talking to you. And I'm happy to see so many young people. I think of the students. I think of children, of the one of the house of Bethany. This is not the effort of a civil get-together. It is not the comfort of normal well-being. It is to have others inside yourself. I will read you the last chat on my cell phone. Okay. Good morning, Father Antonio. I am the mother of twins. Sorry to bother you, but I wanted to ask a prayer because tomorrow I'll be admitted to the hospital and they will decide what kind of birth to give me. I'm afraid, but I really want to see the children. And I say, I will remember you at the Mass tonight. A hug. She says, thank you. I say. She says, Father Antonio, tomorrow morning they will induce labor and I will deliver the twins. I saw on the calendar that today is the name of Mary, a super day to be born. See you soon with the good news. Then I write, come on, have courage, I'll walk with you with a Hail Mary. She writes, thanks, excuse me, but I was asleep. Here in the hospital, they turn out the lights early. Good night. The next day she writes, thank the Lord for the great gift. Mattia and Claire were born. They are very small, still in the incubator. Thank you for all your prayers. And I wrote, tonight at the School of Christianity, I will tell everyone to pray for your children. What am I trying to say to you? That even this for me is part of building a movement. It's obvious that a mother who's scared will ask you to pray. Also, you can use the phone in a stupid way, or you can use it to continue the School of Christianity. You can use it to reach people's hearts with kindness, with tenderness, with truth. sometimes I also think, what is our moral life? When you have to choose what to do, making a sin or not, to do it or not do it, having sexual problems, problems with anger.
Che se scegli il male fai male a tutti. E se scegli il bene,
You think if you choose bad, you will choose wrong and hurt all. And if you choose well with fatigue, and it costs you though, you do good to everyone. Are we aware that we are a body? Let's talk about the school of Christianity. In this case, the school is practice.
non posso inquinare la mia comunità, non posso fare.
And to know that I cannot pollute my community. I cannot hurt her. I cannot harm the church. I cannot harm Jesus. I cannot do harm to the Christians who are suffering. Or, if you want, when I go to confession,
La cattedrale che dobbiamo costruire e che io metto tante volte delle pietre.
do I think about this cathedral that we're building?
Per fortuna il Signore mi ha dato
And I put the stones in the cathedral a little shaky.
di aggiungerci il
And
cemento,
thankfully, the Lord has given me the grace
di rafforzare
to arrange and to add cement to His grace to strengthen my life. And this is how I go to confession.
potremo continuare. Mi daranno domani ci sarà l'assemblea.
And we could continue on like this. Tomorrow there will be the General Assembly. The leaders will attend.
Sentiranno parlare di appartenenza, verranno date loro anche proprio degli strumenti,
They will hear about belonging.
responsabilità meglio,
They will be given tools to live better their responsibility.
desiderio.
They will be able to return home full of desire
Gesù a quel nuovo inizio che è
to start again to build this new beginning that is Jesus. That is my presence in the community, where I have to reconnect all the threads of relationships. And this is going to happen tomorrow. I hope so.
cominciato, poi tra poco ci sarà il problema dei santi.
And soon we will speak of the problems of the saints.
Lo vivremo come un momento in cui
We will live this time
il Signore ci metterà davanti delle
as a time when the Lord will put us in front of people fundamentally
per poter amare,
to look in a mirror,
per desiderare,
to love more,
per costruire
in order to build more, to be able to exit from this mediocrity and from this fatigue that is fraying the world. So,
questo.
this
So che
is what we want to build.
possiamo essere. Se volete per concludere,
To conclude,
alla fine di questa riunione
at the end of this meeting,
dobbiamo decidere
we have to decide
se essere lo scalpellino stanco
whether to be a tired stonemason
stasera faremo
who says,
ce li ha detti,
I wonder what Father Antonio had, how many reproaches we heard,
quanti rimproveri abbiamo sentito e che pena e che fatica vivere,
and how hard it is to live.
come lo scalpellino quello che spaccava
Or do we want to be the stonemason
distrutto,
who said, with enthusiasm, we are building a cathedral.
abbiamo costruendo una cattedrale. Stasera
Tonight we had the good fortune
abbiamo avuto la fortuna
to be able to see again the designs of the building.
della costruzione.
And the building described with very small details.
Particolari, così anche un po' indiscreti se volete, come era.
But it's beautiful to build that.
Diciamo, certi violenti.
It's beautiful to build our cathedral called the Carmelite Church Movement. We need stonemasons who are the noblest of kings and lords, because cathedrals were born in that way, with people who are humble and proud to take part in a great work.
Così, con gente umile, fiera, partecipare a un'opera grande. Sia lodato Gesù.